The British Empire had colonized Canada, India, Australia. We will tell you about the colonization of South Africa. South Africa was colonized by the Dutch East Company. They colonized South Africa in the early 17th century. There were many wars between British and natives because they wanted to get their gold mines. They lived together from 1910 to the eventual independence in 1948 with many wars. The Boers Wars or Wars for Gold Mines between British and the Transvaal people. Cecil Rhodes was the seventh Prime Minister of the Cape Colony. He was a leader and he wanted gold, but he also wanted to extend the British Empire. The first time when the colony became independent was in 1948, but it really became independent in 1994. For the natives, the consequence is that they never forgot their dark past, segregation and racial discrimination. British sentiment was strong. The Boers resent and resist British encouragement.
South Africa was colonized by Netherlands in 6 April 1652 and British in 1806. Before the Dutch and English arrived, Portugal had a major presence of southern part of Africa. The country did extensive trading and dominated the area before the Dutch arrived, but never set up an actual colony of region. South Africa gained some autonomy from Britain in 1910 and further independence in 1931. South Africa became a fully independent nation on May 31 in 1961.
In 1897, Alfred Milner was chosen by British to represent South Africa. Alfred Milner thought British were superior to natives, so the natives struck first British. They attacked Natal and Cape Colony and won battles. At the beginning, the Boers won, but the following year, British reinforcements began to arrive in large numbers. At the end of the year, British captured 4,000 Boers and occupied the Boer cities. A new British commander, Lord Kitchener, stopped the use of concentration camps and the destruction of 30,000 Boer farms. 28,000 Boers died in the camps of disease. The Anglo-Boer War raised questions at home and abroad about British policy.
The history of South Africa starts more than 100 million years ago when the first humans inhabited the region. The historical record of this ethnically diverse country is generally divided into 5 distinct periods: the pre-colonial era, the colonial era, the post-colonial and apartheid era, and the post-apartheid era. Much of this history, particularly of the colonial and post-colonial eras, is characterized by clashes of culture, violent territorial disputes between European settlers and indigenous people, dispositions and repressions, and other racial and political tensions. South Africa was officially Republic of South Africa. South Africa has 54 million inhabitants in mean 2,014,000 with 80.2% of blacks, 8.8% of métis, 8.4% of whites, and 2.5% Asian. Written history begins with the arrival of the Europeans, starting with the Portuguese, who decide not to colonize the region, learning place to the Dutch. The British challenged their preeminence towards the end of the 18th century, which led to whereas the 20th century was marked by apartheid, separatist and apartheid legislative system, and then by the election of Nelson Mandela, the first black president of South Africa, following the first national multiracial elections held by universal suffrage in the country.
The trade in 18th century was increased with the discovery of gold and diamonds. The discovery of diamonds was in 1867 and the discovery of gold was in 1884. But many laborers regions faced the same problem to find enough workers and how to keep their cost low. They have trade with the slaves. As the number of transported slaves trade, the slaves trade increased. African society could not avoid transformation, and 4,000 of slaves trading took their toll. Of course, not all African societies were equally affected, but countries such as Angola and Senegal surrendered quickly. In 1838, the slave population stood around 38,000.